What is going on, everybody? Quick announcement just before you get on with the video. I'm going back to one video a week like I was doing kind of last year, mainly just because school takes up most of the time now and I don't have as much time to record and edit, simple as that. But you know, when half term and the holidays come, I'll be back on 2, maybe even 3 a week, depending on how many ideas I have. But yeah, today's video got actually asked a couple weeks ago by Vu Beats. I don't know if he's watching this or you've seen his channel. If you do, go check him out. I'll link him down in the description because he's pretty good. But he was asking about the TR8 drum machine. Basically, it is a drum machine, and it's the kind of 808 drum machine, like the original Roland TR8 and the 909 actually kind of merged together. It's got a really good sequencer, a good shuffle setting, so that's swing. I don't know why they called it shuffle, but you know, you can kind of mix it on there, so you don't have to track it out. You can just instantly record it out in stereo. I've got it coming back through the back into the mixer so that I can just quickly record in a pattern into the MPC. I'm not too much of a fan of the kick drum sound, but obviously the clap, the hi-hats and the snare, and especially the cowbell, this sound here, that sound there, these are my favorites. So I don't know if you can hear the bass drum. I've set it up kind of as good as I'm gonna get basically, but my favorites are definitely the cowbell, this one, and then the open hat. And it's really good because they've gated it off, so if you're playing this, you can actually stop the open hi-hat, so you get some really good snappy drums, like rather than it carry on playing. So I think that really helps. And then obviously you've just got the clap, like that. But the main purpose of the video is, I'm sure I've done a review of it, or you can go and search up somebody else's review of it. Today is basically showing you how I use it in my workflow, and then also a few things to do with MIDI, because this does have MIDI ins and MIDI outs. The MPC has MIDI ins and MIDI outs, and what this does is basically, obviously this produces MIDI data from the sequencer, and this produces MIDI data from its sequencer, but this is also a sampler. This is not a sampler, this is technically a synthesizer. So what you can do is you can either control the sounds playing from the MPC and use this as a synthesizer, so I could put like the kick drum on here, you know, its snare drum on here, so I could play it in, but that does mean that its outputs are going to be going out of the two outputs back of the drum machine. So I don't know if you know, like with the S950 you can link it together with like an MPC or something, but obviously the noise actually comes out of the S950. In this case, if you put the MIDI going through the MPC and the sounds going through the TR8, you'd have to record everything out of the TR8, and obviously I don't have it set up that way. I've got it set up so that the MPC is the centerpiece of all. I mean, it's not a massive centerpiece, but it does the job. It's good enough for me. If you really like the sequencer on the TR8, and it's really good because it's got these steps, you can instantly, you know, like I know a good pattern for hi-hats would be something like, so a good pattern for hi-hats would be like 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, and then 13, 14, 15. That's really cool. That gives you this pattern. Like, that's cool. But I might want to swap out those sounds for different sounds so that I can then record it into the MPC. And it would take me kind of a long time to play that on the MPC. So I just use this as basically a really quick way of just visualizing the kind of grid, because the grid on like a computer like I've got over there is based off stuff like this. And I think maybe even the MPC 4000 it's like the first computerized kind of MIDI. I haven't used the MPC 4000, but I've seen videos where it actually gives you like a kind of piano roll type of thing. That's what I was looking for, piano roll. But let me plug in the MIDI and show you how you can get your own sounds loaded up. That does remind me, I am going to need the sample card. So now that I've got the sample card loaded up, I am going to go mode, load, and just put samples, go into my drum kit. I'm going to put snares. Let's find a decent one, I think. Let's plug it in into the MIDI out. No, MIDI in, because we want the MIDI coming from here and going into the sampler on here. So the MIDI out is coming from here, MIDI in, going like into here, because we want the MIDI information there. So this was a pretty expensive cable. It cost me £8 and I ordered it to somebody else's house by accident. So I had to go and pick that up. You can obviously play all the sounds like you normally would here. Bear with here, haven't done this in ages. Every note on here values to like, you know how pianos have C3, B, no, goes C, D, E, whatever. This obviously corresponds to like C3 and D. Technically, you if you were playing it on a piano, I guess, but obviously you're not, so it gets a bit confusing when you're using samplers. But that's just the way it works. So actually, we need to swap the open hi-hat and the hi-hat around corresponding to the pads. So now I'm playing that pattern. We should get the closed hi-hat playing the kind of fast notes and the open hi-hat playing the occasional notes. So the snare is corresponding to A5, so I can delete the rim shot off there. And now we should get the snare coming in. And volume controls, these volume controls don't matter, so I can mute them all. Those are only for their synthesizer purposes. So cool, we've got that. You know what we can do? I don't want to go into other pad banks, so I'm just going to copy over the bass drum pattern into the rim shot. So we go 1, 4, 9, 12, 15. And now we've got the whole drum pattern. Little challenge for you. If you can guess the song that I copied this drum pattern off, I'll give you £10. Not even joking. Send me a PayPal if you get the song right. I'm going to narrow it down to, it's a hip-hop song from 1989. That's all you're getting. Hip-hop song from 1989. Tell me where I got this drum pattern from. It does use the 808 sounds, but I'm just talking about the pattern. So if you get it right, tell me in the comments, and I genuinely will PayPal you £10, because that would be pretty impressive if you could get that. Obviously, it's got other things like the ride, like the cowbell in there, but this is the basis of it. The annoying thing is that you can't use the scatter feature to put like fills in and stuff. But that doesn't matter to me too much, because I can always mess stuff up on the computer and put like other audio files or drum fills in there. I just really like having, the hi-hats here. So if I quickly think I've messed up the hi-hat pattern, think this should actually be like here. Or if I think that's stupid, put it back there. It's just really easy, doing it with your hands rather than having to fiddle around on this stupid 2-line screen. It's just much easier to be able to see the lights on there telling you what to do. Hopefully, if you're wondering that, I don't know if anyone was, but now you know what I use it for and how you can set up the MIDI. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this was like helpful in some way. It was more helpful to me just practicing using it this way, but you get the point. I thought I'd make a video out of it. But yeah, subscribe to see more tips and tricks like this and like how I make my beats and stuff. And yeah, have a good rest of the weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.